Hey guys, so I'm Game Master Gillis. We're going to be talking about a new game that we're going to be running with Tyler, Mikey, and Sam. The video you're about to see is a video from my perspective, talking to the players about the game we're about to run. It's our Session 0, essentially. Now, obviously, you've heard us talk in the videos before that we always recommend doing a Session 0, especially before a long campaign. Just to catch you up to speed, I am going to start the players out at level 10. I thought, fuck it, you know, we've all played a lot of games from low level to mid level. Most of us have noticed that a lot of games kind of die off around mid level, so we're going to start at mid level and go to high level. So I intend to run 12, 13, 14 sessions maybe of us leveling pretty much every 5-hour session and doing a rapid level to 20 and then playing a couple of sessions there. If I feel like we really just didn't do anything during a session to be worthy of leveling up, that's an example of those extra sessions being thrown in there to get to those 10 levels. So what this is a high fantasy science fiction game. It's also called science fantasy, in which you have both fully developed components of magic. What I'm talking about is a deviation from concepts like D20 Modern, where you had all the spell casting capped out at like level 6 spells instead of level 9 spells. You have fully developed magic. You also have fully developed technological marvels like spaceships, you know, laser swords, or whatever you might want to call them, plasma blades. Not dark sabers, basically. And you essentially have a fully developed magic system. So in full-on science fantasy, it's even, in many senses, going to be more hardcore than like what a Jedi can do in Star Wars, where you're not talking about like just force lightning. You're more talking about like a force lightning bolt, where you're casting a straight-up lightning bolt, like of the power realm or power scope of the D&D game. So what this is about to be is a discussion in which I'm talking to the players about what they want, what the backstory is for their characters, and whatnot, and the setting is Dark Matter. You can find this, the Dark Matter core rulebook is out there. We have the PDF right now, and the hard copy book is on the way. And it is a full-on science fiction setting in which all the technological marvels are magically based by design. So, for example, the elves fly these massive trees, and the trees have a magical energy about them that sort of generates a hemisphere. An atmosphere, and allows them to be functioning whole cities that essentially travel through space. So in this setting, the elves first discovered a massive skeletal construct out in the middle of the void, which is what they call space. And this massive skeletal construct is the skeleton of what we now refer to as void beasts. And some of them are city-sized, some of them are small planetoid-sized. And they had a city built out of it when the elves arrived. So the elves get there, they go inside, and they find out that there are a race of beings there called amoeboids, which are like amoeba, gelatinous cube-like humanoids, and they're friendly, very intelligent, and they have no recollection of how long they've been there. They've just always lived on and worked on the Maw stations, which is what they're called, Maws. Not only that, but this wasn't the only place like this. There are many of them spread out throughout the universe, and you can travel through them instantaneously by these teleportation circles inside of the Maws. So the elves discovered this one site, and from there had universal travel. And since then, there have been, all the other D&D races having their own way, origin stories of a planet like the Dwarven planet, where now you have these Dwarven starships out there, and there's a Dwarven fleet in space. You've got all these different races, goblinoids, whatnot, and we're going to be running essentially 5e D&D in space. So this is the Session 0 in which I'm talking to the guys about what kind of game they want to run. I'm really excited about this game. I've DM'd for a long time, for many years, but fantasy has just gotten kind of stagnant for me, so I like a lot of supers these days and science fiction. So psyched about this. One of my favorite features are the blasters. They have a basic blaster does 2d6 damage. You don't add your dex modifier to the damage for it. But it's actually like a magical, like a magic wand. It's a magic item. There's also a few new races, like the amoeboids, which are a playable race, and the Vect, which are like a more intricate version of created. They are they're created by the dwarves, and they have like actual cybernetic like wiring to them, but it's all magical, driven by like these arcane batteries and stuff. So I'm really excited about this. This is going to be the Session 0 video you're about to watch. Sorry if the audio is not It's so easy to hear me, but now you can hear the players I'm talking to. And then tomorrow at 11 a.m. we're going to be running the game, which should be posted hopefully tomorrow night, or if not, then Tuesday at the latest. So tune in and hope you keep watching the episodes. Let us know. We'll probably be launching a few different campaigns like this, and you'll have a few chances to see us interact as players and game masters. Hopefully, the next one you'll get to see is Tyler is going to run a 5e game that's going to be like a Waterworld type setting. It's going to be pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the video. And we'll see you tomorrow at the game table. Well, guys, I'm Game Master Gillis.
I'm Game Master Mikey.
And I'm Player Tyler.
And I'm Sam.
And we're going to be doing a game. We are playing. We're not even going to say when we're playing because we're playing tomorrow at 11 a.m. So we are all huge fans of science fiction and fantasy. Pretty much everyone here at the table loves both of those settings. Science fantasy is something I've always been really into. That's kind of not as common. Although in a sense, there's some people have suggested that Star Wars is science fantasy, not science fiction, because the Force is pretty straight the fuck on magic in a sense. Sonic level of magic, but there's been a lot of debate about that, but it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know what to call it, but I love combining, blasters and magic and telekinesis and all those things.
Yeah, there's something fun in it.
Yeah,
a lot more than other media forms.
And I love in Shadowrun does it in a modern setting. So really what I've always wanted to play is think Shadowrun, but advanced from a modern setting to a science fiction level of technology setting. So we found this source book called Dark Matter, which I'm really excited about. I have the PDF for now, and the hard copy's on the way. It is essentially not a separate game. It's just a setting for 5e, so we're going to be running a Dark Matter setting. Now, typically, with a session 0, we'd have a lot more about character development and things like that, because Mikey's been a game master his whole life, pretty much, his adult life. Sam's game master, DM'd, and played pretty much his whole life. And Tyler, in his case, he made his character very quickly, and it was a fighter, so it wasn't super complicated. It was pretty easy to hammer out.
He was actually the first one to finish his
character. Yeah, he finished his character in 40 minutes. It was fucking hilarious. What we're doing now is a session 0 in which we're going to discuss and talk about what we want to have happen. And we recommend this for any new campaign starting. Now, as I talked to you guys about this before, I'm going to be starting this campaign at level 10. I think we're all advanced players. And we will, I think, in this setting, do a campaign starting at level 1, but I want to go ahead and have 10 to 12 games in which we advance from level 10 to 20 just for fun.
So that we have a character with some meat on it.
Exactly, and then I'm thinking that the next campaign will be a timeline continuation of the story, so that we'll have some fun chances to do things as characters in this game that establish permanent setting features, and then play those as characters in the next, you could say, iteration of this campaign setting. So I want to ask you guys, first off, a few questions, what style of science fantasy game do y'all want to play? Do y'all want to play a more serious, dark science game, or do y'all want to play a more Rick and Morty level / sci-fi adventure time that's got a lot of comic relief and
can we do both?
Sure.
You can do both.
Yeah.
I was about to suggest the same thing, honestly.
Yeah, and I want to ask you guys about setting. Because we're using the Dark Matter book loosely. In the Dark Matter book, the campaign setting is very interesting, but there's an area of space that is out beyond the Maws. Now, for those of you that don't know, in Dark Matter, first off, elves were the first race to achieve space flight. And when they went out into space, they found these gigantic skeletal structures of what are called void beasts, centuries dead, that had essentially cities built out of the bone and into the bone. So they docked, they landed, and they go into the city, and they find these amoeboids, which are humanoid shaped amoebas, basically gelatinous cubes that have little organs floating and all that, and they've just kind of always been there. It's not unlike the bug people that are on the major space station in Mass Effect, for example. They don't know how long they've been there or how they've gotten there. They've just always been there. In their racial memory, their racial record, they have no knowledge of who made them or how they got there. They don't have an origin story, and they maintain the Maws. And what the Maws are these giant skeletal cities which have teleportation circles that link them, and they're spread throughout the universe. So the elves get there and find the first one, bam, you've got universally spread out travel available now. And then they found other races that have interstellar travel. You guys saw the picture of a halfling spaceship is basically a building that looked like a happy tavern that was just propelled magically through space. So I don't know if in that case they have like a magical cocoon of energy that gives it like an atmosphere. But we can do anything with this. I was thinking that.
See why the gnomes don't trust magic.
Yeah, and the gnome world, in the gnome world, the gnome is actually in a dead magic zone. There are huge areas of dead magic throughout space. Some high level spells can do a permanent rift where like you do this amazingly like badass magical effect, and now there's a permanent dead magic zone in the area. So the gnome planet, their home planet, is in a dead magic zone, so all the tech they do, the items are things like an uncommon magic item lets you activate the shield spell, basically. It's literally a force field belt that you have on yourself. They're all magical items, but the gnome gear is actual tech. For example, the race Vect in this game, they're kind of like a more complex form of created. They look just like super sci-fi androids, except you get into it, look at it, and you're like, no, these are magically constructed beings that were made by the dwarves that are simply extraordinarily intricate and delicately put together. So I mean, it looks like wires and cables and shit like that, but it's all magical batteries and whatnot.
That was created by the gnomes, the dwarves just took credit for it.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys, I had a few ideas. First off, there's a company in the campaign setting called DD&D, and what they do is they go around collecting magic items from planets that still have old world magic, because those are sold on the galactic level as like antiques, and like if you have a wand of magic missiles, for some reason there's an extra degree of prestige and coolness about that, because it's like, look, I have an actual magic wand from one of those planets that still has archaic magic use, instead of a blaster. Although anyone at all can find a blaster, straight up blaster, that's a magically powered gun, but it looks like a science fiction blaster. So one idea is that there's this one planet that's still a fantasy adventure setting planet, but a few years ago a ship landed that was a DD&D company ship, and they're essentially going there and they're trading niceties like hey, how about permanent light spells in your entire house? Because they land, think Faerun high fantasy, it's like, well, everyone's got a cousin who's a wizard or something, or access to an ever-burning torch. It's like, yes, but does every single dwelling space have a light spell you can turn on or off with command word, and a source of permanent clean water? Oh, and do you have
toilet?
Yeah, I mean, like, do you have all of that? Because like, so they're showing up and getting magical versions of that, in trade for a deal that lets them essentially mine these old ruins of the planet for magical items, which is what they're doing. So to the people there, it's like, oh, this is great. For anybody who's actually smart, is like, you're letting them take rods of absorptions and things that they're finding from ruins right beneath their feet that like our adventurers should go and look for. So that's kind of like how they operate there. They go to planets and they try and collect all of the, magic items that function the same way as tech version stylized magic items in the rulebook. So one theory I thought I had was that that's what's happening. And Sam, you were talking about playing a gnome wizard who's from the planet, and I believe Tyler, you were talking about playing a nautilid, which is a fish-like aquatic species that uses these giant tanks to get around. And Mikey, you were talking about playing
a human artificer.
Human artificer, right?
Well, but I'm going to be similar to the gnomes, in which all the magical effects are actually technological effects.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, okay, awesome. So what are y'all's thoughts on that as a starting base? Y'all can change as much as you want to.
Well, I'm also being the problem player and being wishy-washy, because now I'm considering a completely, totally different build.
No big deal at all. Yeah, that's totally fine. This is why I wanted
game
to.
zero.
Yes, this is why like y'all have until like we're playing tomorrow. I mean, you could hammer out a completely different level 10 character if you wanted to, but like these are questions I want to have.
I'm kind of considering level 3 rogue, level 7 bard.
Oh yeah. What kind of bard would you go?
What kind of bard gets multi-attack?
Valor.
That kind of bard.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, College of Valor. Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you guys, because for example, I'd be totally fine running a game where, bam, scene starts, y'all are a crew of a spaceship, like a Guardians of the Galaxy style, and you go around traveling the galaxy, like Farscape, Firefly, something like that. Or it's a planetary-based game starting out, and then we go to space, or it's just a planetary game most of the time. Also, I talked to y'all about I wanted y'all to all know each other in some way already.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think? Any thoughts on all that?
Oh man, I haven't really thought about this yet.
Well, like the gnome, if I go with the gnome idea, he's going to be perfect for finding treasure, because he's going to be a diviner.
I know that I'm looking for my
looking for a new homeworld.
Yeah, we're looking for a new homeworld, and the water supply. For some reason, the name of it's escaping me.
It's the planet that Nautiloids are from in the book is Poseidon.
Yeah,
And the special
Poseidon,
waters
yeah,
rich
yeah.
with nutrients and minerals
That's
that
what I
allowed
was-
your race to evolve is called
Yes.
Poseidon solution.
Yes.
It's just the water from your home planet. though. Yeah.
Thank you. It was escaping me.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
okay.
Yeah, but I'm going to be looking for that mostly. So anything probably around with the same amount of magical. Wow, I'm completely lost for words today. Just being able to find a resource to replace that is what my new thing is.
Yeah, I think in the book it even mentioned that a lot of Nautiloids, that's what they do, because their race is dying
Yeah.
off, because it's a limited resources.
Exactly.
The water from one planet, that at any point in time, Stark could hit it, and
And their planet's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're basically going out and they're questing and trying to find another source of it. So you could have come to this planet to try and find an old magic source of it, it's not
Exactly.
tech-based or something, or...
Exactly.
And then didn't you say you wanted to be, because we briefly talked about this before, these are very experienced players and game masters, so
Yeah.
I was like, you're playing a level 10 game. Level 10 characters now are going to have quite a story behind them already, things they've done and all that.
Well, I was going to be a part of a Nautilus space fleet.
Right,
and
for
then
sure, yeah.
My ship crashed on this planet a long time ago, and I've just been stranded here with limited contact to other people, but being able to have contact with the other people around me, but not being able to completely make a group yet.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's kind of like I've been level 10 for a while and just haven't progressed.
Right, that makes sense, okay, yeah. Yeah, so badass fish space marine, basically, that's been
Yeah, looks
marooned
like-
on this planet for a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
out on the outside looks like Big Daddy from Bioshock. On the inside, kind of looks like I don't remember the character's name from Hellboy.
Was it Ben Sapien?
Yes, Ben Sapien
Yeah.
with
Abe Sapien.
Abe
Sapien,
Sapien, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, fish guy from Hellboy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sweet. I remember we talked before because I wasn't sure. I thought they were like hulking monsters inside the suits, but you're
No,
like,
it's
no, the
hulking
suits
suit.
make them. Yeah, and I like them because the Nautiloids, as a race, their ships are filled with this water from their planet, and their suits are filled with this water from their planet. It's pretty amazing. So, Mikey, what did you think? Like, how'd you want to tie into all this?
Well, I'm going to end up being a human artificer. I'm using the armorer subclass. What I was going with is the homeworld that I'm from, they actually use technology, but aesthetically, it looks like diesel punk. I mean, it's literally a skin.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, as far as things have progressed,
skin, you're talking like in a video game concept of skin, like just
Yeah.
imaging it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, they've progressed to space flight.
Okay.
But it would look like the old metal rocket ship like you see Marvin the Martian from.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
still capable of interstellar travel.
Sure. Yeah.
It just looks like
Yeah,
diesel
the
punk.
elves fly trees.
Yeah.
It's a giant fucking tree is their spaceship. Yeah,
You're
for
like,
sure.
how are they doing that?
Yeah, I was like, I read in the book, I was like, what the fuck? I didn't make that up. That the elves fly trees. That's just, yeah, sure.
But I wanted to go with, and I came up with this just on the fly, thinking about it yesterday. On his homeworld, there was something similar to World War II. It fits with the diesel punk motif. And the fascists they were fighting, because you can't have diesel punk without fascists,
Right, yeah.
were necromancers. So there was literally a world war against an army of necromancers and
Okay.
liches and all those horrible fun things, vampires, dark knights, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
won, but some actually escaped.
Okay.
And my character would have been part of a mechanized or heavy infantry unit or mechanized infantry, and
Why do necromancers always get cast as the bad?
well, kind
Because
of.
of the evil shit that they do?
They're like, this body's just lying here. It's never going to talk again. I could totally just use it.
Yeah.
That's
It's a bad rap.
That's being
Right?
socially responsible. That's recycling.
They're just not...
Necromancer is good at bad rap, guys.
Look, disturbing the dead is kind of heinous.
You never once hear them complain about it.
What do you think translates into? That's very.
I can move again. Woo! I'm gonna stab you.
No, they're saying, fuck, I'm gonna go back to sleep.
I'm a skeleton. You can't disembowel me.
I don't know if you saw the new Dracula on Netflix, but like the bodies he would drain, usually they would die, but sometimes
Yeah.
they would come back as animated dead people that all they said was, kill me! Kill me! It was pretty fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
fantastic.
so a bunch of necromancers and...
But our side eventually won, but many escaped.
right.
And I started out with a group, and then we all went out our separate ways, basically hunting down war criminals.
Oh, so the
And-
planet sent people after the necromancer
Well,
to
no,
escape or
some
something?
of
or-
us just like, nah, this fight ain't done.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, so they're, and while
So
we-
retired soldiers that just decided to go do this.
yeah,
That's awesome. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
they're enlistment or, you know, you're done. The war's done. You're released to go out there, and it's like, no. Some of them escaped. I don't want to see them do this again.
Right.
Somewhere else. So he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
But his main driving goal is actually finding these war criminals.
If you think about it, like a lot of ancient stories of the way that knightly orders were founded are like that. Like a bunch of warriors got together and decided there was this great undertaking that had to be done. That's a really cool backstory. Yeah.
But he's come to this planet searching for one of these war criminals. He's
Okay.
gotten word that,
So there's a necromancer you think is here.
yeah, the
Yes.
word I've gotten, word on the streets, intel I've collected is that he's there.
Yeah.
Coming down that maybe he traveled with DD&D. They do some shady things. So it's
What do you think the planet should be called that we're on from the perspective of the people from it, not like the super sci-fi sounding name of it, but like
What's the main inhabitants of the planet?
like Earth, probably mostly humans.
Mostly humans.
Yeah.
most humans.
It's probably going to be the planet will be a basically like think of a high fantasy D&D setting.
Grey Hawk.
Pretty traditional like
Planet.
planet dirt. Yes. Okay. So the inhabitants call it dirt. Planet dirt. And
Detrius.
Detrius. We all Detrius or dirt. Oh,
He's the same damn thing.
Fair enough. So the planet Dirt, we've always called it Dirt. When it was first inhabited by DD&D, they found that a lot of the people that they met were trying to screw them over, so they named the entire, by and large, undiscovered system the Unscrupulon system, and it's called Unscrupulon 4, just the fourth from their governing star. So they call them like, you know, the shady people, like here, you know, like because, you know, in DD&D, I forgot, that's right, we talked about this before, but for the sake of those watching, what happened was this planet is in a system that was on the outside of the Maw Collective's, sort of the Maw Homogenies sort of like field of control. So this one company found it first, and they were like, oh, there's an occupied planet here. Oh, they haven't been discovered by the greater interstellar community yet. Let's show up and exploit them for their shit. So, you know, it's almost like a dismissive, fucked up name. They named it the Unscrupulon system, and they called the planet Unscrupulon 5.
They're like, we're gonna go down there.
Or
and fuck-
4. Yeah.
Pretty much this,
Unscrupulon 4.
this company was like, we're gonna go down there and fuck them. They landed and the people was like, we're gonna go there and fuck
Fuck them. Yes, yeah, they're you know they just were technologically advanced, but they were in every way, you know. So and the city I was thinking about it taking place in was almost like a city-based Australia, where it was a place where people would go to kind of hide out. Not an exile city, I guess, not like in Australia, more like a
New Orleans?
more like a New Orleans or like a Pirate Bay city somewhere, you know, in the middle of nowhere.
Tortuga?
Tortuga,
Yeah,
more like a
that sounds
Tortuga
right.
on a river on a river bend. So there's like this this river that cuts off through this mountain range from the main majority of the continent. And in these mountains, there are a resource called they're called dead stones, or like gemstones that just kind of formed there, but they can't really be used in anything on the planet. Turns out they're actually like psionically charged crystals, so like very few rare scions use them for anything. But for most magic users, they're just like any other quartz stone, it's just a gemstone. You know, they're worth a few copper or whatever the fuck, but you know, it's not worth really caring about like spelunking for. But they are psionically charged crystals, and psionics are pretty common in the greater universe, along with magic and all that. So the dead stones are actually called. Like we're gonna call them ephemerite is what they're called in space, but like y'all just call them like dead stones or dead rocks. They're literally just a form of quartz. You know, you call them like, gnomes can call them whatever you want them to, since you're playing gnome, it doesn't matter. But so the DD&D's outpost in this city is basically you know, like I said, showering the city with amenities and then harvesting these stones, while simultaneously sending out expeditions to do little adventuring type missions to try and get any magic items they can find from anywhere at all. Although y'all in the middle of fucking nowhere, so it's basically the stones. Although there's trade in the city, you know. City's several thousand people. It's a nice sized city for that time frame of development. And it's, like I said, tucked away under a mountain range through a river and like an archipelago that's cut off from the rest of the greater continent. Thoughts on that? What do you think about, like, y'all like that for a city or for a base setting to start the game at? Or do y'all
Shady
want to start?
Planet?
What's that?
So basically,
Shady,
Shady Planet,
basically, yeah, like
Shady
they,
Country,
they came to a
Shady
planet, and the first contact they made happened to be in like a New Orleans or Tortuga-based city, where it was a bunch of pirates and thieves and shit and fucking wizards that go off there. That's why you're there. This is where that necromancer probably would have been. It's a place where he would have been hunted down immediately, and he could have more openly practiced his trade.
Yeah, probably
So
the reason
yeah,
I would
like
have been there is because I'm a big. Probably the reason I would have been there is for the dark matter crystals.
yeah, and the
Or
river
B,
empties
I'm
out
a
into
huge
an ocean.
monster.
So like, there's a bunch of water right there too.
Yeah, and I look like a huge monster.
Right, yes, exactly. So it's a place that like a hobgoblin could walk into market, you know, something like that, like wizards and shit like that. Like wizards, like, you know, like blood mages have like their slaves attached to them and shit like that with collars that are all emaciated next to, like, you know, like it's a place that's, the laws are kind of like gray, you know, like
Dark gray.
Yeah. And then so like, does that work for your gnome wizard? If you're gonna play a gnome wizard,
Rogue Bart.
what's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, are you doing the wizard?
What is the optional thing? What's the thing you do if you do a gnome wizard? I mean, like, what would you do instead of the alternative?
I just like the build concept of a rogue, a low-level rogue slash bard.
Would you still go with the? Because I think before you were talking about what your gnome was he was the conspiracy theorist up until a few years ago. He was like, I'm telling you, aliens, they're gonna come and they're gonna take over, and then it was confirmed, or was it a different guy? Because if you wanted to, I mean, you could do that build and make like a Han Solo type character that has a blaster and came in with the like y'all could all be spacers instead of what was the word, natives versus spacers. That's if you want to, you know. Just tossing it out there.
I've just got that one little power gaming tease in the back of my head that's like, you could do this, and it's so hard not to.
What is it?
That feat that gives you one of the warlock invocations.
Oh yeah, and take the witch sight or whatever the fuck it is, where you can see through darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, yeah.
What's it called? Witch's sight.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it.
A half drow with innate darkness and
You got to remember that you're talking about.
see through darkness and elven accuracy. So
Yeah.
that when I have advantage, I get to roll 3 dice instead of 2.
That would work in a lot of cases, but you gotta keep in mind too, because I mean, I'm not trying to, it's like that's awesome in any normal D&D game. Once you get out into space, you're dealing with some people that have like helmets and shit that have like scanners and stuff. You know what I mean? Like some people will have like, in some cases you'll have the occasional power suit who like the vision he's looking through isn't even like his actual vision. It's like an image put on a screen he's looking at and shit. Like they actually have those like in the setting. So I'm not saying it'll come up all the time. I mean, that will be fucking badass.
Magical darkness doesn't affect cameras?
If you have
Thermographic.
thermographic heat vision and things like that, which are listed, yeah, like it literally stipulates the different things. Like you need different things for that. They're actually like a few spells that like mask the heat signature of somebody or something.
Ooh.
So yeah, like magical darkness against
You got so
like the predator. Like the
5
predator,
feet.
if you do magical darkness, he doesn't give a shit. Like he doesn't see you with thermal vision anyway. He's seeing your fucking heat signature. So that is kind of a thing. Yes, I agree. In almost any other setting, every other setting, that's broken as fuck. Especially if you go, what's that ranger archer that gets like Gloomstalker or some shit? There's a Gloomstalker that gets
Gloomstalkers.
an extended range to its dark vision, and then it can see in dark vision or some shit, and it gets advantage whenever you can't see it. So all it does is goes outside of your normal 60-foot dark vision range. It can still see you and fucking shoots you and has advantage on all the shots.
Yeah.
It gives you Dread Ambusher, which is
Low level too, like 2 or 3, right?
3.
Yes.
You get an extra attack on your first round of combat with Dread Ambusher, as long as you're good before somebody, and you get a bonus to your initiative. And then yeah, what? Oh no, if and then their power is, if they're in normal darkness, if anything that uses dark vision or something like that to see in darkness,
Yeah.
you can't see them. Just when they're
Oh,
in
gotcha.
darkness, they just can't be seen.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah.
That's, yeah. That would come, that would be one of the things he was pointing out about the, like somebody with a scanner wouldn't be able to see that.
That would completely work for any sort of actual vision, and it would work for any kind of scanner that's literally just, because in many cases, that suit of armor I'm talking about would be just a camera that's feeding back. But there are, in some things, that actually literally lists thermographic vision and shit like that in the setting. It's not a lot of them, but it'll happen sometimes, but that just wouldn't work for your character. But it would a lot. I mean, that's fucking awesome in most cases. Like, because a normal camera, it's just like normal vision, you know? But thermographic goggles and shit, would bypass that, you know, because they can see your body. But still would be badass. But what would you do? You do Rogue 3 and Bard 7 and take that beat, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. What character would you play though? Like, would it be like a bounty hunter, or would we still be a local that's like a smuggler, or yeah?
I have no idea. I'm just thinking of build.
Fair enough. Okay. Well,
I could have very well, because I know I've got 1 level of fighter,
yeah.
and then 9 levels of
Artificer?
artificer.
Yeah.
So I could have like easily recognized what he was in the city and start asking questions and pound around like, you need a friend.
Yeah, because I mean, as I'm not a low intelligence character, but my charisma is kind of low, so I'm probably like one of those, you know, big guys just like walking around, you know, not really like talking to anybody.
Like you're looking for a boss to be your leader, and you can be their strong man and shit. Like you're one of those.
Yeah,
like
because even in his past life, he's just been a support character who's followed his commander's lead almost the whole time. I mean, sure, in normal military senses, an infantryman can also become his own leader and start his own group at the same time.
You can be a platoon leader.
But like a level 10 with like low like a level 10 space marine with low charisma is an excellent example of a fantastic soldier, a damn good soldier, who just doesn't have great leadership qualities. That's all it is. Like he's still a badass soldier. You know what I mean? He'd be great at a unit. You know, and yeah, you and like 4 other people. Because they're all doing their fucking jobs too.
And that doesn't mean that I can't train somebody.
You just wouldn't have been promoted to general because they're all, but like, exactly, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like I mean, I could have all that strategy experience.
They're gonna tap you out, they're gonna cap you out at like sergeant and keep sending you on missions. Sure,
exactly. Yeah. I'm literally the dude flying around with a jetpack and a minigun. Just like that kind of stuff.
Did you actually, you got the minigun?
Well, it's the REC gun. It does, it's automatic and shoots like 2d10 damage.
That's fucking awesome.
And then,
it's badass.
and the 2 plasma cutters that do 1d10 damage.
Yeah.
And
plasma cutters,
4 attacks per round. Yeah.
They have a gamma sword you can find that does 2d10 damage. It's listed in a.
Was it 2-handed?
I think so.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. What else?
How'd you guys want to know each other? Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, like I could have met him. Like,
We're going with the gnome concept. Basically, he's a diviner, so if people are looking for magical loot, that kind of puts a reason to know him in itself.
Yeah, the reason why I would know you at that point is because I heard that maybe you could have something to help you find some more Poseidon solution.
Or you could have just shown up, if you're going with the crazy gnome, giving like, and the fish are going to land right here.
Like, and they land right there.
What are you talking about? The fish is going to land right here. And everybody thinks you're nuts.
If you had an actual magic premonition that you had too, you really could have seen him there. You could have just, I mean, if you want to, you could have just like been there when he crash landed. I'm like, I knew this was going to happen.
Like marketplace in the
for
dirt.
fun, like,
I told him that initially. Like, basically, I could have foreseen that that you were going to land, and I went out to
crash.
I went out to the crash site to try to save you.
Draw a line in the dirt. You're like, what's that? Well, everything on that side is going to be hit with debris. Everything on this side is going to be okay. Let's be on this side.
Yeah, and I mean, do you want where do y'all want this to have happened? Like out in the middle of fucking nowhere? It could have happened like right outside town. Like if you want, I mean, you could have been like out in a field.
It doesn't matter. I'm the diviner. Like,
Yeah.
wherever it happened, I was gonna know that it happened because
I feel like if I had crashed closer to town, more people would be aware of who I was and where I am because they'd be like, this shit crashed out of the middle of nowhere.
And they've already got.
Yeah, but
There's
it's
a bunch of dead fish people on
Yeah.
it in these suits, and then I'm one of those suit
But
people.
the town supports multiple like level 10 characters, so there's probably going to be some pretty interesting shit out there. Like I mean, you've got dragon people walking around and shit like that. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah,
a guy
dragons.
in a giant diving suit, you know, like they don't know you're a fish person necessarily. They just know you got a giant diving, you know.
Yeah.
oh, can I have a third nipple?
Sure.
Awesome.
You can
Yeah.
have as many nipples as you
You can have as many nipples as you want.
I just
You can have eye holes if you want. I have
I just-
3 eye holes.
I just want to be able to say that I've got the sixth sense, the second sight, and a third nipple. And then when people are like, a third nipple, like, third nipple?
Yeah, because a level 10 diviner, dude, like you,
Creepy.
if you're not like a hermit who lives out in the middle of nowhere and you just never use your powers, like a level 10 diviner is probably relatively well known in a town for being a level 10 diviner.
Unless
like,
people just think he's crazy.
You go see Monty, he can find things out, he knows things, and like, does he know things? Like sometimes I saw him just rambling incoherently. Yeah, no, he does that, but also he knows things. If you
Yeah, nobody.
pay him, he can find things out for you, but
If I'm
also he
asking-
rambles incoherently.
That's perfect for me because if I'm like looking for someone, they'd be like, talk to Monty. Why'd you laugh? No, he really
Or
doesn't.
whatever your name is, I mean, like, yeah,
He's
yeah.
a gnome. They live a long time. What he's babbling very well could be prophecy of something that's going to happen in 150 years.
Yeah.
Or he could be,
Or maybe he's completely and totally insane. I don't know. Sometimes
or he
he's
could be
right
making a
about shit.
grocery list
Yeah, so
from 300 years ago.
I'm thinking in the town, like 100 years ago, when the town was first being established, and there are only a few hundred people there, and there are probably like 30 or 40 people that remember this because they're elves and were around then. You'd like stand out in this field, like, 20 or 30 yards off from the tavern and be like, it's gonna land right there. What, the fish? The fish is gonna land right there. The what? The fish! The fish! Shit like that. They're like, all right, man. And then like 100 years later, it actually landed. You had a reputation. Some humans were like, yeah, my grandpa told me about him. He would just stare out there when he was a boy and yell about the fish falling from the sky. Crazy bastard, but then Mama went and saw him, and that's how she found out Paul was cheating. You know what I mean? Like, to be an actual diviner who also is a crazy person, that's not like.
What was the one about the amoebas? The amoebas are going to take your, or the
The jellyman will come and take your poo-poo.
I thought it was,
Come and take
Yes.
all of our poo-poo away.
yes, that's what it was.
Sounds absolutely crazy until the amoeba people come with plumbing.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
There's going to be slime that comes and takes your poop.
Yeah.
Like, dude, stop. Are you hitting the halfling weed again?
And there wouldn't be any amoeboids on the planet. They don't really travel from the ball. Like, it's like super rare apparently. Like, if you play one as a player, you're like extremely unusual. But
So you probably accidentally got caught on a ship that was shipping stuff away from it. Right?
that's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be an amoeboid. Do you want there to be an amoeboid in the town?
I mean, it's all
If they're going to
don't
be setting
care.
up like plumbing.
It was
and
a
all this
throwaway
stuff.
line.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a throwaway line, but it's a great one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, yeah, it is. But I do like the idea of like you having like for like a couple of human generations been ranting about like every few days you just get like wild-eyed and you're like it's gonna land here. It's gonna land, and then one day there's a massive crater in the center of town where a fucking ship crash lands there and shit
Well,
like
it doesn't even
that.
have to be in the center of town. It could have been off in the woods.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm asking. Like, do you want it to have been in the middle of town and everyone knows, or off in the middle of nowhere and no one really knows that you're there where you are?
That's his call.
Totally up to you.
I think being off a little bit will give us a chance to explore and make getting to the town a little bit more like eye-opening, I guess.
So this has all already happened in the past too. Like y'all already know each other. You probably we'll say like you've lived there now for a couple of years probably.
Well,
or
then so, what is the ship going to be used for? Are we using the ship as like a secret base or something?
What
Or-
ship?
My crash ship.
Oh, your ship. Yeah, your ship is crashed. I was thinking if it was in the middle of nowhere, I was thinking it crashed on the ocean, and then you came out, and he was like there on the shore waiting. I knew you'd come. I knew you'd come. I knew you'd come. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but now in the middle of the ocean.
yeah. Or I was like working. He crashed in town, or that's just what I want to see what you guys wanted to do. You know?
Yeah, probably just in the water, just right off the coast.
Sweet. Okay. Fuck yeah. So you can go back down and get to it, but yeah, it's inoperable. It's fucked up now or whatever. You know, like.
Yeah.
So you've been stranded here, and then you came in the past like 6 months or something like that. Is that cool, or do you want to have been there for a while too?
No, I wanted to be there kind of recently.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe a month or two.
Okay. So you've been there for a month or two, and y'all met, but y'all known each other for like a couple of years now. Is that cool?
Yeah, since he landed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And,
Sweet.
Yeah, and I'd have sought him out.
Yeah, you take him into town, so the gnome comes into town, he's like, you know, his giant armored thing, they're like, oh, the wizard made a golem or some shit. He's like, no, he's a fish! They're like, okay, man. Whatever the fuck. It's,
I'll be like, no, I'm a fish.
He landed where I said he was landing.
yeah, like, he's like,
I said he was gonna land there.
I'm a fish. I landed where he was gonna land, and some other level 12 wizard's like, yeah, I tell my golem to say all kinds of shit, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
And knowing that you initially told that the fish was going to fall from the sky right there is alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just people who hear you say,
There's
"Oh,
some
my
bar.
shit."
It's in some bar. There's some elves.
yeah, so that's what I was asking. I was like, do y'all want it to have happened where anyone saw it, or like off in the middle?
The elves are starting to wonder.
Or like, you know, now every now and then an elf walks out, is like, hey, that fish ever, hey, so those fish are gonna come right now? He came, he's here. What? Yeah, he's right here.
That's
That's a fucking, it's clearly a suit of armor with some sort of amorphous magical liquid.
Well, that's
inside
the
of it,
thing.
or
Well, that's the
whatever.
thing with the suit is that it has little holes. For
Oh,
you to
so they can
out of.
see your, okay.
Yeah, imagine like
Your
the
fish
old
face.
timey fucking
Diving
diving
bell,
suits where they had the canister.
Oh,
around
it is like
their
this, they can
head.
actually see your ape sapien, whatever looking
Yeah,
face.
like the face will be right here, and then like all of a sudden you'll see me just wiggle around in there. It's like look into the portal.
Oh, that's legit. Okay, yeah, that's pretty fun. Well, so you actually have confirmation that a giant fish person, or whatever the fuck, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So is that how you guys do that in the middle of nowhere, and then y'all been friends for a couple of years, he's basically stayed within...
Your escape pod hit there. Your main ship.
Yeah, I have seeing at least one person close by and them actually being kind of nice to me would help me a lot with the low charisma character, especially since I know nothing about the planets that we're crashing on, and I'm not.
What about languages?
Probably a lot.
We're gonna treat it like a galactic basic thing in Star Wars, where I mean,
There's just common.
before you as a traveler go to a planet, you probably learn the language in preparation for going there, or you have a modular translator or something. You've learned it in the past 2 years, you know, and he's probably gonna be a super intelligent wizard, so. In the past few years that there have been spacers there, he could have picked up the galactic version of Common. So we say there's a version of Galactic Common and there's a version of Common on the planet. And
They're strangely similar.
no, I mean, well, do y'all want to do it like, you know, like I'm
I can do
saying?
the translators.
What's that?
I can go with the
Or
translator.
you could have learned it before
Well,
you
no,
came
I
there in
have-
preparation for going there.
So,
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
I have a
I think-
gadget that works as an AI.
Yeah.
I mean, it could always be used for that.
And the suit, okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, we'll say for like because y'all are coming to this planet, they literally program the language and.
No, it's an item that I bought, like that you can buy through.
Oh, it translates language for you all the time?
Yeah, it does anything. It can
That's
go,
awesome.
It can go.
Okay.
It has. It's the same. There's a magic spell that where you have a personal assistant.
Homunculus.
I think so.
Yeah.
It works exactly like that. If
Okay.
you read the rules and the.
Yeah. So it's like a planet that's got the common
I feel
language in
so
5e
bad.
D&D, and then
I
there's
feel so
galactic
bad for
basic.
you non-magical types. I just got like comprehend languages and tongues and
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. Yeah. So he has no problem with languages, and then
divination.
yeah. So there's a galactic basic, as there would be, that the galactic, the Maul
Homogeny.
the Maul homogeny uses, and then there's also just common on the planet. There's separate languages, but for this purpose, you learned common before you came there.
Yeah.
His thing can translate common, and he can use, or he over the past 2 years, using magic so many times to speak to spacers, now just knows galactic basic also. And then most times when you all arrive at a new planet, yeah, you have to figure out a way to communicate with them. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But as a wizard, he's just like, level 1 spell, I can talk to you now, or some shit like that, you know, like.
That works too.
And,
That's
and
convenient.
there are definitely translators. I've seen translators in the core rulebook in different, like, in the setting. You can get, like, universal translators on your armor and helmets and shit like that. So, yeah, that's all we'll figure out later. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Like,
Oh no, I'm good.
yeah.
I think we have all the bases covered.
Usually at a session 0, this would be a time to ask your players What are some boundaries? Like, is anyone uncomfortable with over-sexualized themes or like gratuitous violence? You know, we're a table full of fucking degenerates, so we don't have to in this
Bitter
case.
batter.
Bitter batter, yeah.